Hey, everybody.
Hi, I'm
Welcome.
Sam.
I'm Kirsten, and we're here to chew the metaphysical fat.
Yes, we are. We're on episode 5, is it?
I believe so, yes.
So we're still getting used to this. It is recorded, but we're not going to do it again. We just have a quick disclaimer we have to pop out before we start getting into our juicy topic of channeling. So obviously, any views expressed are mine and Kirsten's opinions. It isn't medical advice. If you need any medical, legal, or any other advice, we suggest you go out and seek a professional, and don't listen to us because we see the sausages, basically. That's the disclaimer.
Thank you, Sam, for your own special disclaimer. Very good.
I mean, after that, nobody's going to listen to us anyway, let's be honest. I'm not going to take medical advice on those silly sausages. I wouldn't either. Yeah.
We're not even going to give any medical advice, so it's good that you don't take it.
It is, yeah. Yeah. As you can see, our lovely Kirsten's got a new backdrop today. Do you want to talk us through your artwork, Kirsten?
Well, I made this painting about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and I don't know, I love it. It didn't started out to be something different, but this is what it became, so it's good. And this is a painting one of my yoga students made for me, and it's a portrait of me with the owl and the meditation in the middle, and my main auric field colors.
Absolutely. And the owl's just astounding, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, she did a wonderful job. She's amazing. Yes.
Oh,
Shout out, Casey, I love you.
We love your art.
Yes.
Yeah, so today we're going to dive into channeling. Kirsten does a little channeling. She's been channeling for a long time, hasn't you, Kirsten?
Yes.
I'm fairly new to channeling, verbal channeling. I've done channeled writing for a number of years. The process is kind of the same, just a different method of delivery. You're still just opening yourself up, aren't you? So we just really want to touch on kind of what channeling was, have a little look into it, look at some historical channels, touch on that, and then I think the lovely Kirsten is going to give us a channel at the end.
All right. Well, where to start? Because channeling has been done, probably as long as human beings have been on the planet, honestly. But we have certain channels that we have a bit of historical information, which, as Sam and I have both talked about, it's history, especially when you're going back that far. It's not really, there may be grains of truth in it, but it's really hard to say exactly what happened. And for instance, when you start talking about the Oracle of Delphi, or what is it, the Pythia?
Yeah, so they called it the Pythia because I say Pythia because I'm obviously English in the build, but yeah, it's Pythia. So it's the Oracle of Pythia, and it was the serpent essentially, which is the serpent wisdom from the earth. So it actually started out as a goddess temple. It was built on a fault line, and they had something called, I think they called it a tripod, and the priestess at the time, the Oracle of Delphi, there was several. Apparently history said there was just one at a time, but we seem to believe from our guides that there was more.
Yes.
Obviously, that loops back into the disclaimer. Don't take our medical advice on history because we can't prove it. But yeah, we've been informed by our higher guides that there was more than one at one time. And Kirsten, do you want to tell us a bit about why they said that was?
They said that there was more than one because at that time in history, we were actually descending into the Kali Yuga. So when the Oracle of Delphi existed, we were descending into the Kali Yuga, and we were also descending into, or coming into, a different part of the system, so to speak, and the patriarchy was taking over. So you had those two things going on, and at the time, the energies on the earth were extremely dense. I mean, you can think about just the difference in the vibrational frequency of the earth since even 10 years ago, and see how it has really shifted. Well, at that time, it was shifting into a much lower frequency. So it was extremely difficult to channel. And they had to inhale, what was that gas? You know what it's called, it's ethyl something.
I don't know if it was, right, don't quote me. I thought it was ethylene, but I researched it and my memories, could be wrong. Something along that line. It was like a petroleum sort of gas from the volcanic fault line, essentially, because there was this tripod that went over it. The vapors would obviously rise, they would inhale it. And then they went and did some actual analysis on the gases released, and they found this specific gas, which we think is ethylene, but it could be wrong. Something like that. And what it actually did is it invoked euphoria, hallucinations, and other different kind of symptoms that go along with kind of altered state work, essentially, because when you're channeling, you're going into an altered state. And what that would actually do in small doses would cause this. However, in larger doses, it would actually be lethal. So that probably would be another reason why they would have more than one oracle, because one, they'd need to be training them anyway, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Two, because obviously you don't want to be inhaling all that gas all the time, because it's gonna, and and also the energies, like you said, because when you deal with really high energies, I mean, Kirsten and I can both attest to channeling. When you've got these really high energies coming through you, it really does knock out your system, because you're having to raise your vibration to meet the energies. It's a higher frequency, so it's moving all the stuff through you as well. So you end up actually having a really big purge.
Yes, and being extremely exhausted too. So yeah, what my guide shared with me was that when they would do channels back then, they would actually have to recover for days afterwards. So yeah.
Sorry, which makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then there was the Law of One, which is a group of books that really resonated with me, and they are channeled by the Raw group. And they were channeled in, I think, 1986, 85, 86. And they were, they had to really work at it then too, to make the channel. They had to set up this altar just so, and they had to, they had to do all these very specific things to get to, it was Carla Ruckert who channeled that. And to get her into the place where she could channel, it was very complicated. And, bringing it to the present day, it's fairly easy now to channel. It's much easier than it's been in a very long time on the earth. So it really is, because you're bringing in that higher frequency, you really have to be ready and able to do that.
Yeah, because what you're actually doing is you're rising up to meet them, and they're coming down to meet you. So they can only come so far. So what we've got to do is be able to raise our vibration or our consciousness and get it up enough to meet them, so that we can have that over that. And we have like a merging, don't we?
Yes. And so, but, I think a lot of people misunderstand some things about channeling. For instance, I think everybody who is creative and artistic does channel, because what brings real creativity is the ability to expand your consciousness out and to connect with that creative force, whatever you want to call it. You can call it God, you can call it higher dimensions, you can call it, whatever you want to call it. But being able to connect with that and bring that through. For instance, when I did this painting here, I was actually planning to paint something different. And I put some paint on the canvas, and I started looking at it, and I thought, no, it was suggesting something else to me. So I made something else that it suggested. So my small self was just planning to paint a nice little picture of a bird, and my other self was like, my higher self was like, no, let's do this. And it came out much better than what I had imagined. Although at the time I was kind of like, I don't know, that's weird. I don't know if I like that, but now I love it. But oh.
It is beautiful. It really is, and it was definitely channeled.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it actually kind of has its own a life of its own. It's a bit, yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing with channeling, isn't it? So we talk about allowing the energies to come in, and you probably heard of things like artistic blocks or writer's block, and that's a block to the divine, really, a block to our creative juices flowing, and it kind of all links into that that Kundalini sacred energy, because that's your creative power center, really, as well, isn't it? So when you've got that energy moving through you, that's fueling your creative ventures, and then you've got your consciousness coming in higher aspects or whatever's coming through you. And also what you can do is, I mean, a lot of artists, really, they're tortured, aren't you? Look at the tortured artist. And yeah, so they channel their emotions. And it's some of the great ones, like it was Van Gogh, wasn't it? He died before he was ever recognized for his work. Lots of different artists were the same. And there's actually some kind of Irish myth that I can remember reading about a long while ago, and it's about the muse, and apparently the muse is this kind of mythical, almost like a fairy figure, like a being, and they could bring her into your life, and she would have a relationship with you, and she would feed your creative aspirations, but she would essentially kill you. You'd die early. So it was real, that tortured art, and I think that's kind of was just saying, these artists that actually produce this amazing work are normally real tortured souls, because it's channeling all that different aspects of humanity, the whole spectrum, isn't it? There's really intense emotions.
Yes, and I think too, a lot of times, because when you open yourself up to channel, sometimes darker entities get in there and they want to come through too, and that's one of the reasons why you have to be careful, and you also have to really guard your vibrational frequency when you want to channel, because if you bring it down too low, you may be getting some things that don't mean you as well as some other things, because there are a lot of entities who really want to channel through people, and not all of them. They all have their own agenda. They all do, and you have to be mindful that it's not an agenda that is that's what we would call a darker agenda.
It's getting something that's aligned with you, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's all about intention. So when you go into anything like that, you set your intention for something for the highest and best good, and you're connecting to. And when you've done it a few times, you feel the vibration of the being or beings, because normally it's a collective, isn't it, in our case, that come through. And you build up a rapport with them, a relationship essentially. But also it's about obviously having protection in place and making sure that you've got some defenses up. And the biggest one you've got really is developing your sovereignty, because when you can say no and you mean it and you mean what you say, even if something's trying to come in, you can just command them out, because your will is gospel.
That's right. That's right. And you can build that sovereignty by making your being more cohesive. And you can make your being more cohesive by really being you. Yeah.
That authenticity, isn't it?
That's right. It's that authenticity. It's that honesty.
I think that's the thing as well. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to channel because I'm just not letting something come in and take over me. And it's like, well, it's not going to, because this is another thing. You're in the driver's seat to start. I mean, you can move into the back passenger seat at the more, a mesh to get with them. But you're still in control, you know, and that's the thing. If you decided that you didn't like something, you could snap out of it, because it's not just like they're coming in. I mean, sometimes it is depending on the channel, but in my case, it most certainly isn't. You know, I'm really present there still. I'm still in the back seat. I know what's going on, and as they're coming through, what happens is you go through this process. So I feel them in the back. I know, Kirsten, we've chatted about this. It comes in through the binder at the back of the neck, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But I also feel it in my spine. So they'll come in, and what I essentially feel is like a pressure, but I also know with the vibration of it and the feel of it who it is. And then what actually happens is you then open yourself up to that, and it's almost like a type of merging occurs. So they blend with you. It's the same when you do mediumship, and you're reaching up, you're going up to spirit. And the closer you can bring spirit to you, that you can blend with them, the better connection, the better information you can get from them, because you're closer, essentially. And it's a form of telepathy. So then what's actually happening, you're blending with them. They're coming in, and then they're coming in through the bindi, and then they're basically merging with your consciousness. And then slowly, the closer they get, the more they're kind of present in your body. But don't forget, they're not actually of this plane. So we often laugh, don't we? Because they do all sorts of weird things. You get like weird jerky movements. Yeah. They might have to recalibrate you. You might just be giggling because they're trying to raise the frequency and clear you out. Because sometimes if there's any blocks, they'll do that, which we've had before, haven't we, Kirsten?
Yes, we have. And I almost always know when Sam's going to channel, because she just starts giggling.
I mean, I giggle anyway, but it's ridiculous, isn't it?
But she starts, it's a little bit different, because it just, you can actually feel the frequency shifting as you're giggling. Like you can feel it starting to come through, and it's like this, and it just kind of shifts, and your voice kind of shifts, and it's like, oh yeah, here it comes.
Here we go.
Sam sometimes just spontaneously channels, which I think is awesome.
I mean, I let it, because sometimes I have a bit of an argument, and I'm like, no. And they're kind of like, go on. You know you want to. And I'm like, no. And they're like really persistent. It's like, come on, you really enjoy this information. You need it. And I'm like, no. And sometimes it really is just like a flat out no. Because you're busy, aren't you? And the thing is that as much as they've got your best interests at heart, because it's our guides that we deal with and all the rest of it, you've still got to put your foot down, because they need boundaries as well. They need to know what you will and won't accept, because they will push. And we've got human lives that we need to live. Yeah. We've got, groceries we need to buy. Like some of us have got kids, we've got animals, we've got family, we've got all that kind of stuff. Jobs, things to, you can't just say, oh, do you know what? I'm not going to feed my kids tonight. I need to do this channel.
Exactly. You can't. And they will sometimes, because they don't, to them, there's no time, and there's no, physical responsibility. So they don't always get that, I can't just drop everything right now, because I have to do these things. So, but if you tell them, then they understand, and they go away. And that's one thing I want to mention. If you're trying to discern between channeling an entity that has your best interest at heart and channeling one that doesn't, the one that has your best interest at heart, the one that is beneficial, will never try to violate your free will. And they'll never tell you, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to just be in a world of hurt, buddy. You better do exactly what we say, or you're going to be all messed up. They don't say stuff like that. And they will go out of their way to not scare you, even if, say, something's coming up that's a little bit scary and shaky. It'll be more like you're at the grocery store, and they'll go, hey, buy some more bottled water this week. It's more like that. Or,
hey, ooh, take this left turn.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on an adventure. Let's see what we're doing. oh, why have you just taken me the long way around? Never know, but obviously it was for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So if you get some kind of entity that's trying to frighten you and trying to motivate you with fear, cut it off. It's not got your best interest at heart.
And you can cut it off and you can say no, no matter how much it's threatening you.
You can. You absolutely can. In fact, the more they threaten you, the more you need to say no.
And you do that by exactly. You shut your energy down, so you send out your light, you bring your auric field back into you so they can't access it. And then you can imagine, so what I have got is like a buffer. So I feel into my auric field, I feel to the edge of it, and then I stretch the space around it so nothing can come in.
That's a good idea. And what I do is I open up my heart center and I bring all of that love. It's not particularly my love, and in that everything that comes through me is mine in a sense, but it's that divine love. So I open up that heart space, let that divine love flow through, and I project it out, and it creates a shield. And something that is of a lower frequency can't really penetrate that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, do you feel like you want to do a channel, Kirsten?
Well, all right. Let's see how this goes. So I was going to say, I see it, or when I channel, the first thing I feel is a tingling in my shoulder blades. And that's how I know they're ready to come in. So I'm just going to take a moment here. Please don't laugh. Sometimes I jerk around. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Oh, my dears, we greet you in the love and light of the one infinite Creator, and we are so pleased to make connection with you this day, my dears. We are always pleased, for you are our dear boots on the ground, our duckies, our favorite people. And we would like to greet you, our dear Sammy. Sammy, we love you.
Hello.
Oh, my dears. And so we are to understand that you would like to do a question and answer. And we are open for your questions.
That's great. Thank you for being here today. We'd like to ask if you have any specific messages for our viewers at home.
My dears, we would like to assure you that even in the times when you feel that you are at your most alone and there is no hope, at these very times, it is when we are closest to you, my dears. And we would wish you to know that you are loved so very, very dearly. And that all you need do to access this love is to simply request it, to simply open your hands to receive it. For it is here for you. It is here for you no matter who you are or what you have done or what failures you feel you have had in your life. These things mean nothing to us, my dears, for we see you as you are, as your divine spark. Underneath all of the grime that you have imagined beats the bright and beautiful heart of a true warrior and a true divine being. And in this heart of hearts, you will know that we are all connected.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Is there a way we can connect with our inner divine spark or remember who we are?
The best way to do so is simply to ask us or ask any of your guides, any of your higher dimensional self, perhaps your own higher self, for help, and you will receive the guidance that you need. It may not always come in the form that you expect it. So we would stay alert. Notice the things that come into your purview. Notice the things that whisper in your ear. And realize that it is all right here before you. And the only thing we need to do is to guide you where to look.
Thank you for that lovely information and guidance. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with today to consider?
My dears, we are coming into a time, and we do not have to tell you this, for it is quite evident, when things are set to shift. And our greatest advice that we can give you is to embrace the shift, even when it seems strange, even when it seems, we would say, like an unhappy surprise. We would encourage you to embrace even this, my dears, for the shift is going to bring you to a place that you have never imagined. And my dears, your imagining it is what shifts you to your best place. And so if every shift that happens brings you into a vibration of doom and gloom and a feeling of, oh no, this is not going to be good, my dears, your thoughts will create experiences that you perhaps would not like to have. For what is happening is that your thoughts are going to become manifest much more easily and much more quickly than you have been accustomed to. And so we would encourage you that rather than dissolve into fear and be very unhappy when things shift, to instead look at what has been left in the wake of the shift and find what is good there, for there will be much good, but you will not be able to perceive it if you are not looking in the right place, or if you are too consumed by your visions of what will go wrong. We would like to encourage all of you to know that you are not alone and that things are going to turn out much better than you could have possibly hoped for. If you are here now hearing this, know that you are on the timeline that you wish to be upon, and that you are a true champion, and that you are coming into the mastery that you had before you came to this incarnation. Go in peace.
Very good.
To take off my glasses when I do that because they tend to fly off my head.
We need to get you some blue tack or something to stick on your face, don't we? That was brilliant. We've never done that before, by the way. That was a first. So
That was a first. I have never channeled in front of, yeah, not like that. No.
and I didn't even know I was going to ask. So you know, I
I'm
was
sure you
like,
asked the right questions.
well, you know, I thought nice open questions are the ones to go for. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think the thing about channeling is because it's so subjective to the individual, because we're all, I mean, the mechanics, I would imagine, are very similar across the board. But the way that each person works with the energies and expresses it and connects with the other, you know, connects with the higher aspects is going to be very different. So the kind of like the world's your oyster, really. It's evolving, isn't it? Every time we do one, really.
It is, and it's interesting because you're the filter, so it's coming through you, but it's using what you have to express, and it's really. I'm sorry, I'm really spacey now, but it's really it's merging the energy, and it's really what you're doing is interpreting the energy, you know, and they often tell me it's more about the energy than it is about the words they say, although I find that there are layered meanings in the words that they say. And it's interesting because at one time you may hear the same channel and you'll hear something completely different because you're at a different place in your life and in your understanding.
And that's kind of how, because I mean, you can doubt yourself, because like Kirsten was saying, they come through, it's a collaboration, you're still talking, you're still working with them, you know, it's a partnership. Sometimes they're more at the front of the car than the back of the car, which is absolutely fine, and you're kind of going with it, but they are still using your own vernacular and your own experiences to pull that through, essentially. So the more you know, and the wider your perception is, and the more knowledge and understanding you've got of the world around you and just ideas or whatever, the more they've got to play with, basically, the more they can use your internal kind of dictionary to get the message across. And that's really beautiful, really. And that's why you can have the same stream of consciousness, which we've had before, haven't we? Where we've all kind of we've all channeled the same kind of, there's a few of us that can channel in our little group. And we've all got the same kind of stuff, but it's phrased in a very different way. But it's all layers, like Kirsten said. And the reason you can kind of tell it's real is because of how nuanced it is and how it unfolds. And what you'll tend to find with the channel, it'll have an initial meaning, but then, like Kirsten says, as time unfolds, so will the meaning of the channel, because, like they said, it's so clever, and they pull all these bits and they weave it all together. Then it just flows beautifully, doesn't it?
It does, and it's really amazing. I mean, and you know, they do things to help us confirm what we're doing. I love this, Sam. They'll give Sam cultural references that she doesn't understand because she's, you know, she's my soul daughter, and they'll but they're ones that I understand, you know, from things that were before her time, and they do that to play with us because, but also to confirm that this is a real phenomenon. This isn't something we're just making up.
Yeah, it is that confirmation aspect, isn't it? And it always, I get a bit I get a bit you know, defiant about it sometimes. Like, they've done it again, what do they mean by this? And actually it's really funny because I'll say something, but there's normally a broader context and it'll fit into something else, and you put it all together and it's actually really funny. And they had one recently and there was about 4 or 5 different layers to it initially. That was just initially what we gleaned, and it was so funny and so interconnected that there's no way we could have done that just from our unconscious minds, because it was pulling together stuff that we didn't actually know at the time.
Yes.
Which is another big kind of green light, isn't it? Basically.
Yes, Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to leave it, Kirsten.
I agree. I think it's good. We would like to thank everyone for joining us, and like and subscribe, please. If you need a tarot card reading or energy work, you can look in the description and find a way to contact me for that. Yeah, anything you want to end with, Sam?
Just thank you for watching, and we hope you found it informative and at least a little bit amusing, because that's kind of what we go for, isn't it? Laughter is the medicine. That's been the key for the entire week so far. It is the theme. And I'm anticipating the week's only going to get more hilarious, because that's kind of how these things will roll, isn't it? But yeah, it's just a big thank you for me. But
Thank you so much. We love you all.
We do. We love you. Thank you.
Much love. And yeah, we'll see you. Sam, you got to say it. It's your saying.
See you. Yeah, catching the flip side.
That's it. Bye.